evening. The meeting of the Richland County Board to order. Chair Brewer has asked me to preside tonight. He's dealing with a cough and some stuff, so we wish you a speedy and complete recovery from that, Marty. And I would ask the clerk to call the roll.
Carroll.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Am I on, you guys? Can you hear me?
Okay, there you go. Okay, Brewer.
Here.
Seat.
Here.
McKee.
Here.
Renish.
Here.
Luck.
Here.
Manning.
Here.
Gotcho.
Here.
Glassburner.
Here.
Bacon. Gentis.
Here.
Turk.
Here.
Cosgrove.
Here.
Frank.
Here.
Severson. Williamson.
Here.
Hui. Fleming.
Here.
Voice.
Here.
And McGuire. You have 17 of 21 present.
Thank you. And we have our pastor from the Church of the Nazarene here to deliver our invocation for the evening.
Let's pray. Almighty Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, and we thank you for the beautiful weather that we had today, the warmer weather, before it gets a little chilly. But Father, we thank you for your presence with us tonight. I pray for this group of people who will be doing business today. May your favor rest upon them. And we pray for our county. We pray for its leaders and its people, its business owners, its churches, its schools, its young people. Father, may your favor rest upon us today as we seek your face. And Lord, I just pray that everything that takes place today, you know the business that is at hand, that you would provide wisdom, and that you would provide grace, and you would provide unity tonight. We pray all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Clerk Kalish, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before us tonight, we have a 34-point agenda, so we have a busy evening. We'll be looking for a motion to approve the agenda. Motion by Manning, second by McKee, to approve the agenda before us. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And you should have received the minutes from the September 19th meeting. Does anybody have any questions or corrections on those September 19th minutes? If not, we will declare those minutes approved. Item 6 on the agenda, discussion and possible appointment of County Board Supervisor for District 11 and all other committee appointments. You got the list, Marty?
Well, I'll take this. As you know, we did have a resignation in District 11, and we did not receive any responses to our ads for a replacement. I was successful in recruiting a candidate who will hopefully will agree to run in April for that position. But we do have, with Sean's resignation several months ago, and then the approval of Mary Miller for District 2, is it? Yes. I have a number of recommendations for committee assignments, and they are as follows. Julie Fleming, Finance and Personnel Standing Committee. She would be the Land and Zoning representative. Sound good, Julie? Mary Miller, Fair Recycling and Parks Standing Committee, Rules and Strategic Planning Standing Committee, representing the Fair Recycling and Parks representative, or representing Fair Recycling and Parks, and the Transportation Coordinating Committee. Sound good, Mary?
Fine.
All right.
Education
Okay.
Committee?
I would recommend that we we approve those as presented.
Ms. Gentis?
We need an 8th person on the education committee.
Did we replace that one already, Derek? I can't remember.
I can't access my computer for, hang on one second.
I know we discussed it.
Right, so, okay, am I on? So it's currently right now Linda Gentis, Chad Cosgrove, Bob Frank, Bart Boyce, David Turk, that was a vacancy from Sean Murphy Lopez, and then Ingrid Glassburner, Daniel McGuire, and Mark Cooley.
Okay.
So David was placed on that committee. I'd forgotten that, and now memory serves now.
David had forgotten that too, to be honest. Now you know, okay.
Okay. So I'm looking for a motion to approve those appointments.
Mr. McKee moves to approve. Mr. Cosgrove seconds. All those in favor of approving these appointments, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, thank you very much. That brings us to item number 7, which is our public hearing on the proposed 2024 county budget. So we will declare this hearing to be open. And to start off with, if I could ask Administrator Pesch just to give us this document has been published and circulated, but just give us kind of the highlights of where we stand right now with our 2024 budget.
Okay, so as the document you have in front of you, or that you've received, there were very few changes. We just had some clarity on some of the numbers that came in after the initial publication, so that's really all that you're going to see has changed. To highlight, again, why our budget looks so different this year and why we are not in the dire straits that we had been predicted to be in. We received an increase in shared revenue of $803,000. We had a significant increase in our investment income of $375,000. We received an excess bond premium, which has to be used as a one-time offset to our debt service expenditure, which you will see comes right off the top of our levy this year, which is $321,899. You will notice in this budget that we were able to do this budget with no general fund balance, no use of contingency funds, and no use of ARPA funds to balance our budget, which is a significant accomplishment for us this year. This budget also includes a 5% cost of living allowance and a one-step salary increase for all county staff, which we know has been a struggle for us. And we have reduced our short-term borrowing for capital improvement projects to the tune of $40,000 for the 2024 year. And we received an average of 13% increase for health insurance for all county staff. That is also included in this budget. You will note later on this is mentioned, but there are 3 positions added in this budget, which are the jail administrator, which has been a position that we have been unable to fill for a long time, and it's mandated by state statute, so that has been added. We have added a finance director position, which will significantly help our financial position going forward in our planning. And tonight, what will be before you is an HR generalist position as well. So those 3 positions have also been added in this budget as written. The next slide that we have again goes over what types of revenue we actually get into the county. Taxes, tax levy, intergovernmental, regulation and compliance, public charge for service, other general revenue, commercial revenue, and highway revenue. The next slide will show you the 2024 proposed revenues in each of these categories for a total revenue of $43,425,607.33 of revenue coming into the county. Proposed revenue. And then the next slide that you have talks about the expense types. And I always say that this is really important to talk about so that you understand what expenditures are lumped together. Health and social services is one that I think is very important to highlight. That consists of Pine Valley, Health and Human Services, all departments, Child Support, and Veterans. So that is a very large department. So I think it's just important to highlight. The next slide talks about our 2024 proposed expenses. And our 2024 proposed expenses are $43,425,607.36. And as I said earlier, the new positions that are included in the proposed budget are noted below. I have also included our debt service summary. So there is a slide here that talks about each type of debt we have, and then it lists out the principal-only payments and what our actual debt payments, principal and interest are for each type. So you will see we have general debt, we have debt for Pine Valley, we have the radio tower debt, and we have our short-term borrowing debt. And all of that is highlighted here. And on the final slide, we have the proposed levy by department. And this slide illustrates what the 2023 levy was for that department, what the proposed 2024 levy is for that department, plus or minus how much was added or reduced, and what percentage of the total overall 2024 levy that department will take. We've also included in your packet what was published in the paper for your review. And with that, our overall levy is minimal. Our total increase this year from last year is $41,000. That was our levy increase this year. So I think we've put together and established a really strong budget this year.
All right, you've heard the information from Administrator Pesch. This is a public hearing. Do members of the public have questions? Questions or comments on our 2024 Richland County budget?
Were I a member of the public, I would be asking, well, how come it's so much better this year than last?
And again, I touched on all of those things in that first slide. The increase in the shared revenue, the increase in our investment income, the one-time money from our bond proceeds. So all of those things have really contributed to putting us in a much better fiscal position than we were previously.
Is our county sales tax projected to increase again next year?
Yes, it is, and actually there is legislation at this point to also reduce the service fee. And it's got strong bipartisan support and is looking to move forward, which would mean not only would we see the continuing increases that we are seeing this year, but potentially we would keep a larger portion rather than keeping only 0.75% of our sales tax. We would keep an additional percent.
I have a question.
Mr. McKee.
Where in the budget is the $600,000 that Pine Valley is going to give to the county? Where is that in the budget?
Okay, so I want to correct the record on that. Pine Valley doesn't give the county $600,000. It offsets its debt service. So if you look at the debt service slide, the Pine Valley amount for debt is, don't want to misquote this, it's 1.4?
Yes.
1.4 million. So what happens is they then, if their revenues are high enough, they return some of that money to the county and they credit it back towards their debt service. And this year, it actually will be $811,000 that will be credited back to the county. But Pine Valley is still not sustaining itself. It's still not paying for itself. There is still county levy dollar that is going towards funding Pine Valley on a daily basis.
Reason I ask that, because previously, the county took this money and they used it to help balance the budget rather than it going to debt service.
Correct, and that's not how it was allocated this year.
Okay, that's why I asked the question.
Yes, go ahead.
Can you tell me why on the 2024 levy by department summary, why is Pine Valley part of Health and Human Services when every other department is separate?
Because health and social services is a defined category. They are together. Derek, do you want to explain it a little more?
Yeah, so it has its own fund, like it's its own individual fund, but when we're grouping those things together, just in the broad categories, it's just one of the health and social services. It's in the same, it's just a categorical definition. Yeah.
It's not a department, it's a category.
I mean, it is a department too, and it is its own fund number.
But on that first slide, when you clarified all of those that were included in the Health and Human Services, you had child support and veterans listed
They're
as
also-
well, but they're listed separately on the levy by department summary.
Correct, because of the funding mechanisms that go into, child support is funded differently, and so each of those funding mechanisms require that.
Okay, I just think that might have been part of the question.
Ms. Gentis, go ahead.
I just because I don't understand some things with finance, when we have the one excess bonding premium, if I have to explain this to some of my constituency, I have to admit, I can't explain that. So could you help me how that, I don't really understand it.
Well, luckily, we have Carol Worth here with us. And so Carol can talk to you a little bit about this excess bonding premium and how it must be applied. And Derek and I had a lot of work getting our minds around this year and making sure that we were applying it correctly and according to the legal requirement. So if Carol would like to elaborate for us, that would be wonderful.
Okay, am I on?
Yep.
Okay. When the county sold the $8 million of bonds, okay, for the radio tower project, and we went out to what's called a public bid, where underwriters submitted their bids for the interest rate. The process of the underwriter then finding an investor to purchase the bonds from the underwriter, okay, is very, very common for the investor to pay more. And I always describe it as if the underwriter was selling the investor $100 worth of bonds, the investor will pay more than $100 for that $100 worth of bonds, and that's called a premium. He's paying you a premium. So that $8 million bond issue, the investors paid you that additional $300 and some thousand above the $8 million that you were asking for. But the only thing that the county can use that premium for is to offset your debt service levy. That premium cannot go into the construction fund, okay? It has certain statutory limitations. So that's the reason why it's a one-time revenue source, because it came from that activity of the winning underwriter selling the bonds to investors at a premium, and that comes back to the county. Okay?
Thank you, that helps me a lot.
All right, wonderful.
Thank you, Carol.
Other questions on the budget, either from the public or from board members? Question over here? Right in front of you. Barb. Oh, Barb, I'm sorry, I can't see you through Richard there, sorry. Go ahead.
I just have one more question, please. Looking at the percentage of changes in departments, I noticed that the county administrator's office is up $234,000, becoming 5.4% of the budget, which to me seems a little high. I'm wondering, is that because of the finance director, the HR, and what else?
So the finance director position did, elevate that budget for sure.
So that comes out of the county administrator?
It does, because remember, the county administrator's office is not just the county administrator. It's the county administrator, it's the accounting supervisor, it's the payroll clerk, it's the finance director, it will be the HR generalist. And so all of those positions. So you have to take into account the actual increase in wages as well for the current and existing staff. And then adding the HR generalist position made that budget go up roughly about $14,000 is all, because I traded off the assistant for that, so.
And those numbers are percentages of county tax levy. They're not percentages of the overall county budget, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Any other questions? Yes, Ms. Gentis.
So on the levy department thing, the Health and Human Services, the 8.16 includes Pine Valley?
No.
Sorry, what?
It does not include Pine Valley. Pine Valley is by itself. So Health and Human
Where am
Services.
I'm missing, I must not be able to read this.
She's on slide 22.
Slide 22. That's what I'm trying to find here.
Oh, because Pine Valley, technically, so their revenues, okay, this is where this gets tricky with Pine Valley and the money coming back into Pine Valley, because
Correct.
when Pine Valley's budget, when they do their budget, their revenues and expenditures are in theory equal to one another, and then they have the $811,000 in additional revenues that we like to say they give back, right? So in theory, like when they're budgeting, it shows that they have no levy and they give that money back. But as Candace alluded to, if you take what their debt service is and you reduce that debt service by what they give back, then they would technically have a levy. But we're using that $811,000 to fill the budget, if you will. So this whole situation is very wonky and very hard to understand.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, we are one of few counties that actually have this situation. So a conversation I had with the auditors this year was, how do we best represent that to show it with more clarity with the debt service levy and all of that. So that is something that was likely going to change next year when we get different software that allows us to do things a little more efficiently too. That will help greatly. So that's why Pine Valley is not on there in terms of this. So that's where that $811,000 gets weird, right? It's this convoluted thing, and every budget season I have to like stop and think about it because I have to wrap my head around it every time. Getting back to HHS, what you're seeing on here, remember HHS has Fund 56. In Trish's department, they also have Fund 59 Nutrition, there's County Aging Unit, there's ADRC, all those other funds that, again, this is categorically a budget document, if you will. Sorry, that's a long answer.
So,
Mr. Carroll. Oh, sorry, Linda, go ahead.
Wait, no, I think I understand. People always ask me about Pine Valley, and
Right.
I'm not on the board, so, and now we're doing the budget, so, and you said we had levy, so they're sort of paying for themselves, but not completely?
Correct.
Correct.
That's where this gets
I just need to
complicated.
know, okay.
Yep. Supervisor Carroll.
Yeah. Could you briefly remind me what institutional costs funds are? I don't recall what that is.
That's Fund 44 and Fund 54, so adult institutional and child institutional costs. Those are costs that we're mandated to provide, and the experts over there in the gallery that can explain that better than me.
Any other questions? Mr. C.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, can you hear me?
No, your microphone isn't on yet.
Well, the folks from Casanova have trouble with mechanical things. Let's see.
Sounds like it's on.
Got some assistance here.
Maybe it's
There you go.
Thank you very much. Very nice presentation. I agree that the budget is a little cumbersome, and I'm hoping that down the line we can have a more understandable budget. This accounting system that we have is very cumbersome and opaque, and most of us would have to go to graduate school to read and understand the budget. There was an incidental income unanticipated last year, in the middle of the year, I think before you arrived, Administrator Pesh, about $40,000 to $43,000 that the governor, I think, issued by executive order, and I don't know what the intent of that was for human services, veteran services, and Mr. Langrick indicated that if they didn't find a purpose for it in the Veteran Service Office in the current year, that it would be placed in a contingency fund or in the general fund. Can somebody tell me, Mr. Derrick probably, how we handled that $42,000 or $43,000 that was unanticipated?
I was not involved in any of those conversations with Administrator Langreck in the Veteran Service Office, so I'm not exactly sure what you're alluding to, Don, Supervisor C.
I see. Well, Mr. Langreck's answer to me was rather opaque as well, so perhaps we could look into that.
Okay.
Any other questions on our 2024 budget? Either from members of the public or from the board? Hearing no other questions, I will declare this public hearing to be closed. We will have a resolution to adopt our budget coming up here shortly. Item number 8 on our board meeting agenda, a resolution awarding the sale of $1,010,000 in general obligation promissory notes.
Okay, I'm going to go through that with you. I distributed a handout this evening. There's actually 2 separate documents. One is on the letterhead, which is a summary report, and the other is the resolution itself. So I'm going to take you through the summary report briefly. And as you know, that the purpose of the borrowing is to finance the 2024 capital improvement projects. The resolution will contain what's called purpose language, and that purpose language dictates what the money can be used for. And that purpose language is going to say that they are for improvements to county facilities and acquiring equipment, vehicles, and technology for county functions. So this is the only purpose that the money can be used for, and it can never be used for operating purposes of the county. So the these capital improvement projects were what I would say removed from the operating budget, because if you borrow for them and you are creating debt, debt is not part of the calculation that is limited to the levy limits, okay, for your tax levy. So therefore, the levy for the principal and interest on these $1,010,000 of notes will be used to repay the notes on March 1 of 2024. So they will only be outstanding for just slightly over 3 months. And again, that levy is outside of the levy limits that the rest of the county's operating budget is subject to. So back in September, the county board had approved the first step in the process, which was in the initial resolution, and that resolution is the one that required the 3/4 vote of the members-elect of the county board, and that gave the county board authority to proceed with the borrowing. At that time, we were looking at the market conditions, and interest rates were in the range of about 4.5%. We did not go for a Moody's bond rating on this issue because it is so short that there would be no cost savings to the county to incur the costs of the rating versus the interest rate. So, of course, over this time period, interest rates have continued to rise. We thought that might be the case, but yes, they have risen. In terms of the market conditions themselves, very volatile, as you would expect, kind of caught between 2 opposing forces, as we say. Number one, there's been some favorable economic news, which the market fears will trigger the Federal Reserve to raise rates again, and they are meeting now for November 1. However, with what is going on in the Middle East, also has the opposite effect on the market, where many investors are looking for what's called a flight to safety, right, in terms of what they invest in. So they go to treasuries and municipals, and when there is a flight to safety, there's more demand than product out there, so that drives yields down. So we're right in between both of those. So sometimes you'll read an article in the morning talking about one of them, and then by noon you're seeing the opposite. So very, very volatile conditions. So when we prepared the county to access the municipal market, we worked with your bond attorney, which is the firm of Quarles and Brady, and they actually prepare all the resolutions and closing documents for the county. We prepared basically a prospectus on the county that was distributed into the bond market, used to solicit bids from underwriters. Okay, and we also distribute what's called a notice of sale to the underwriting community and put information out on bidding platforms so that we can get as much attention and interest rate, help to drive the interest rates down with competitive bidding. So that happened this morning. So the second page of my handout has the list of the bidders. Okay, so we received 5 bids this morning, which was very good market participation. And the winning bid came from Piper, Sandler and Company out of New York. And actually they were the winning bidder last year as well. So they like Richland County's note issues. And the true interest rate was a 5.40%. And as you can see on that second page, the 5th bidder out of Minnesota, Collier Securities, was at a 6.179. So that's quite a spread between them for bids received at the same time. So then I've included what's called a sources and uses of funds, basically to show you that you sold $1,010,000. There was some premium on this issue, about $2,767. And then you will be allowed to invest this borrowing proceeds until needed for your capital projects. So using an estimated rate of about 5%, that should generate about $30,000, and that money can be used for projects. Okay. So the uses of funds, the underwriter pays himself out of the premium. In this case, it was $2,413. The county will pay issuance costs against invoices in the amount of $21,750. And the rest of the money is in the project account. And again, with that $30,000, it would be a little over $1,018,000. And the county will get a small amount of premium, $353.50. That will again be used to offset debt service. Okay, so we even have premium on this issue. So the next page at the top shows you your repayment schedule, the principal and the interest. In this case, the interest is $15,430. Both of those come due and will be paid off on March 1 of 2024. So if I take just that payment and divide it into the county's equalized value, that would represent about 57 cents of your tax rate. So there is also in the middle of the page what's called a pricing schedule. This is the page I can talk to you a little bit better about the premium. If you look in the middle, you'll see the column that says yield 4.5%. That's what the investor is getting. But he wants a higher, what's called coupon, and that coupon is the interest rate that the county is paying, so that's 5.5%. In order to get that, he has to pay a higher price. So if you look over to the right-hand side, you'll see a price of 100.274. That's what I was explaining before about the investor paying more than $100 for $100 worth of bonds. That's the price that he paid for this note. So that generates a dollar price of $1,012,767, and you were selling $1,010,000. So that's kind of the whole explanation of the topic of premium as it applies to each issue. So So again, the interest rate or coupon is 5.5, but because you got that $353 back in premium, it brings that true interest cost to a 5.404%. So the resolution that you will act upon tonight requires a majority of the members present. It will lock in the interest rate and the tax levy, and it awards the notes to Piper Sandler. The closing will occur on November 21st, and that you are not at risk for the interest rate changing, okay? And with your action tonight locks in the rate. So the county will receive all of the money on November 21st, and we're going to put monies in different places. $988,250 is going to go in the project account, $353.50 again, that premium into debt service. And then there's going to be $21,750 of that the county is going to use to pay expenses. They are tax exempt notes, which means that the investor does not pay federal taxes on his interest. So therefore, if you were selling these as taxable, you would be approaching interest rates right now close to 7%. So there's quite a difference between a tax exempt note and a taxable. Because they are tax exempt, you have a limit in terms of when you can spend the money. The IRS doesn't mind you making positive arbitrage on investing the money, but they will require you to spend the money within a certain period of time. So you have 18 months to spend the money. Okay, and that date would be from the closing date, so that's May 21st of 25. The last page, just for your information, shows you, again, your debt service for all the issues you have outstanding. Again, this is not necessarily related to how much you are putting on the levy, but this is all issues that were taken out for the county and Pine Valley combined. So there's the payment schedule of all principal, interest, and total. And I'm comparing it from 2023, where that grand total was $3,530,000, and this year it is $3,505,000, and that does include this note issue. And then next year it goes down to the $2,737,000 and stays there for about 5 years, and then it drops again. Okay, so just informational only, but sometimes it helps answer some of the what-if questions. Okay. So then the other document that you have is a resolution. It's a very thick document, but to be perfectly honest with you, only the first 7 pages represent the resolution. The rest of them are a ton of exhibits. And a lot of them are just informational type of exhibits. It doesn't really change anything that you're acting on. But what it basically does, the resolution goes back and recites the things that we just talked about. When you adopted the initial resolution, what is the purpose of the borrowing, what the money can be used for, the fact that they're tax exempt, the fact that the principal and interest is levied for, and the payment is going to be made on March 1 of 2024. So it does give the county officials authority to sign closing documents, and the fact it does recognize that you have an account for debt service, account for the project funds. You're approving basically the method that we've used with a notice of sale to go out and get bids. The underwriter submits his bid on a bid form. You're going to lock in the interest rate, so that is represented on a bid form, which is really the contract between the county. All of that, there are attachments to this 7-page document that have all of those extra documents included in this resolution. Okay? Happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Before we have discussion, can we get a motion to get this on the floor? On the resolution? Motion by Manning, second by Williamson. Okay. Now at this time, do you have questions for Carol or for anybody else on the resolution that's being put before us? Mr. Carroll.
Yeah. This is probably for the board. I know it's not required, but I find it very handy when the projects we've identified are listed to at least give us a reminder, those things we had scheduled for this borrowing. I was wondering if we could, in the future, have that as part of the resolution wording, and I just find that helpful.
That would be in our capital improvement plan, capital spending plan.
Yeah. We could attach it. It wouldn't be part necessarily of the actual resolution that Carol's presenting, but we could have it available.
I do have the report that went to Finance and Personnel back in September that I included some of that on there. If you'd like me to read some of that off, would that be helpful? No? Okay.
Thank you. Other questions? If we have no other questions, we need a roll call vote on this, Derek?
Yep, hang on one sec.
Okay, and Supervisor Cooey has joined us online now.
Okay, great.
Situated here. Okay, so we will start this time with Glassbrenner. Okay. Gentis?
Aye.
Turk?
Aye.
Cosgrove?
Aye.
Frank?
Aye.
Severson? Williamson?
Aye.
Okay, Cooey?
Aye.
Fleming?
Aye.
Voice?
Aye.
McGuire? Carroll?
Aye.
Miller? Brewer?
Aye.
Seep?
Aye.
McKee?
Aye.
Renish?
Aye.
Luck? Manning? Goncho?
Aye.
Okay, you have 18 of 21.
The resolution is adopted. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, now that we've borrowed the money, we can move forward with a resolution adopting our Richland County budget for 2024, item number 9 on the agenda.
Okay, so this will be resolution number 23-99. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that the 2024 budget does include county sales tax in the estimated amount of $1.4 million. Be it further resolved that the sum of $10,486,132.23 be used and hereby is levied upon all taxable property in Richland County for 2023. Be it further resolved that the resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication and is being offered to you by the Finance and Personnel Standing Committee on October 4th of 23.
Okay, for the resolution, what's your pleasure? Motion by Williamson, second by McKee for adoption. Any further discussion?
I just have a question, Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead, Ingrid.
Does it matter that we haven't technically yet approved the HR generalist position and it's included in the budget? I don't know if that.
No, if you don't approve it, it just then those dollars don't get expended.
Okay.
Any other questions? Do we need roll call on this too, or voice vote okay?
Voice vote is okay. Okay.
All right, all in favor of adoption of the 2024 budget, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Okay, please note we had one vote no. The resolution is adopted. All right. Moving on our agenda, item number 10, we have an ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to Irvin and Catherine Kempf in the town of Westford.
This will be ordinance number 23-23, that the property belonging to Irvin and Catherine Kemp in the town of Westford is rezoned from general ag and forestry and ag residential to ag residential district. This ordinance shall be effective on October 24 of 2023 and is being offered to you by the Land and Zoning Standing Committee on October 2 of 23.
You've heard the resolution, what's your pleasure? We have a motion by Gentis, second by Manning.
I can give background if you'd like. Mr.
Yes,
Chair.
Supervisor Luck, if you give us the background, please.
So they are splitting their land to sell the existing buildings in a small parcel of land.
Okay. Any further questions or discussion on this ordinance? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The ordinance is adopted. Next up, an ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to Laverne and Jennifer Ortiz in the town of Orion.
Ordinance number 23-24, again for a 12.47 acre parcel belonging to Laverne and Jennifer Ortiz in the town of Orion, is hereby rezoned from General Ag and Forestry District and Agriculture and Residential District to Ag Residential District, again offered to you by the Land and Zoning Standing Committee on August 28th of 2023 and would be effective August 24th of 23.
Okay, do we have a motion on this one? Motion by Fleming, second by Luck. And Melissa?
Background would be on this one, they're splitting their land to build a new house, and they will be using the existing home as a short-term rental.
Questions on this one? Otherwise, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The ordinance is adopted. Item 12, an ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to John and Jane Turnipseed in the town of Marshall.
Ordinance number 23-25, that the 45.30 acre parcel belonging to John and Jane Turnipseed in the town of Marshall is rezoned from General Ag and Forestry to Ag Residential District, again offered to you by the Land and Zoning Standing Committee on October 2 of 2023.
Okay, do we have a motion on this one?
Move for approval.
Motion by Seat, second by Fleming.
So they are splitting the land into two parcels. They're listing the parcel with the house for sale and selling the remaining with the garage to their daughter.
All right, anybody have questions on this one? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? The ordinance is adopted. And item 13, ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to Sean and Linda Walsh in the town of Dayton.
This will be ordinance number 23-26, that the 6.0 acre parcel belonging to Sean and Linda Walsh in the town of Dayton is rezoned from General Ag and Forestry District to the Agriculture and Residential District, effective October 24, 2023, and is offered to you again by the Land and Zoning Standing Committee on October 2 of 23.
Motion to approve this one. Motion by Manning, second by Fleming. Go ahead.
And so this one, they are splitting the land to sell the house and building separate from the vacant land.
All right. Anybody have questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And the ordinance is adopted. Do we have any petitions for zoning amendments received since the last county board session? None that we're aware of. Any petitions recommended for denial by the Zoning and Land Information Committee? No. Okay. Then we will move on to item number 16 on our agenda, a resolution amending the Health and Human Services addendum to the Richland County Employee Handbook.
This will be resolution number 23-100. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that effective October 8 of 2023, these changes to the Health and Human Services addendum to the Richland County Employee Handbook are hereby adopted. Excuse me, you have items 1 through 5 listed there on the resolution. Be it further resolved that Richland County employees will be made aware of these changes to their department management, and that this resolution shall be effective upon its passage and publication October 8. This is being offered to you by the county board members of the Health and Human Services and Veterans Standing Committee on September 14th of 23.
All right, do we have a motion to approve? Motion from Glassbrenner, second by Williamson. And discussion. Tricia Clements is here.
Okay. So there are two main changes that we're looking to make in the handbook. Excuse me. They're related to the Adult Protective Service social workers and the Child Protective social workers and our mental health therapists. At the start of this year, we reclassed those positions one grade up, but we never did anything with those who are either in training or have their temp certified license. So we're asking that our handbook be adjusted to say that they be listed one grade below the fully certified grade. The other changes are just pretty minor. We're asking that the family medical leave paperwork not come to Health and Human Services and that it just be to the administrator's office. We are looking to change that we may put our ads in the paper, not a shall. And the last thing is that we're just having it added to the county handbook that any address changes have to be notified to the clerk's office in addition to our office.
Thank you. Questions or further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Very good. The resolution is approved. Item 17, a resolution relating to Richland County's participation in a state program for providing specialized transportation assistance.
This will be resolution number 23-101. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that the Richland County Department of Health and Human Services and its director are hereby authorized to prepare and submit to the Wisconsin DOT an application for assistance during 2024. Be it further resolved that a sum of not less than $15,978 of the amount budgeted for transportation funds for the Department of Health and Human Services transportation account in 2024 and the 2024 Richland County budget shall be used as the approximately 20% matching county cost share portion of the program. Be it further resolved that the Director of HHS, Ms. Tricia Clements, is hereby authorized to execute a state aid contract with the Department of Transportation, and that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passing and publication. This is being offered to you by the County Board members of the Health and Human Services and Veterans Standing Committee on October 12 of 23.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Motion by Caro, second by Cosgrove for adoption. Tricia?
So this is a grant that the ADRC receives every year. It is used to support our transportation program, both our minibus, our van, and our volunteer driver program. And it's something that allows people to be independent in the community.
Any questions or discussion on this resolution? All in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? And the resolution is adopted. Brings us to item number 18, approving 2024 Health and Human Services revenue contracts.
This will be resolution number 23-102. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby granted for the Health and Human Services Board to enter into the following revenue contracts for 2024. You have the list before you there in the resolution. Be it further resolved that the Health and Human Services Board is hereby authorized to amend any of the above contracts by not more than 15%, and that the Director of Health and Human Services, Ms. Tricia Clements, is hereby authorized to sign the above contracts. This resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication, and is being offered to you by the County Board members of the Health and Human Services and Veterans Standing Committee on October 12 of 23.
Looking for a motion to approve. Motion by Fleming. Do we have a second? Second by Glassbrenner.
So these are contracts that we have primarily with the state, the Department of Transportation, or other entities where we gain revenue from the services that we provide. And so we're just looking for approval for all of these.
Any questions for Tricia or anybody else on these contracts? Otherwise, all in favor of the resolution, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Aye. All right. The motion carries and the resolution's approved. So we got the revenue contracts. Let's go to item number 19 and talk about provider contracts for 2024 for the Department of Health and Human Services.
So this will be resolution number 23-103. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby granted for the Health and Human Services Board to enter into the following provider contracts for 2023. Again, you have a list there before you in the resolution. I will not read them all. Be it further resolved that the Health and Human Services Board is hereby authorized to amend any of those above contracts by not more than 15%, and that Tricia Clements is authorized to sign the above contracts. This resolution shall be effective immediately upon passage and publication, and is being offered to you once again by the County Board members of the Health and Human Services and Veterans Standing Committee on October 12th.
We have a motion on this resolution. Motion by Fleming, second by Luck. And discussion, Tricia?
So these are contracts that we use to provide services to individuals in the community. They primarily support our CCS program, our CLTS, Birth to 3, and then the different placements that we have to make throughout the year.
Do we have any questions on the provider contracts? All right, if not, all in favor, please say aye. 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 Anyone opposed? The resolution is adopted. Item number 20, a resolution approving a contract with a firm to do billing for the ambulance service.
This will be resolution number 23-104. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby granted for the county to enter into a contract with EMS MC for the purpose of doing the billing for the ambulance service. Be it further resolved that the county administrator is hereby authorized to sign on behalf of the county the contract, and that this resolution be effective immediately upon passage and publication. This is being offered to you by the county board members of the Joint Ambulance Committee on August 16th of 23.
You heard the resolution. Do we have a motion to approve? Motion by Williamson, second by Fleming. Aaron, you want to?
Sure. So this is being brought to you in the attempt to switch vendors. In 2017, when Administrative Assistant Gene Rice retired, we used to do our billing in-house, and we looked at that opportunity to possibly outsource that, which we did in 2017, and we've had some success with that. However, since 12 to 14 months now, the current billing company has not been able to keep up with our workload as far as billing out our claims, and because of that, that impacts our cash flow. And as all of you know, the ambulance service operates solely on its fees and on the contracts that it receives from municipalities, not on tax levy. So it's important for our cash flow not to be impacted in such a way. So we found a vendor that will provide the same service at the same cost. Checking the references, they appear to be reputable and have good reputation amongst the other ambulance services they serve.
Thank you. Any questions on this? If not, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The resolution's adopted. Thank you. Item 21, a resolution approving a contract for building inspector services under the Uniform Dwelling Code.
This will be resolution number 23-105. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby granted for the county to enter into a contract with Wisconsin Municipal Building Inspection, LLC of Platteville, whereby that firm will be providing building inspector services for the county under the Uniform Dwelling Code for 24 and 25. Be it further resolved that if the county engages the services of the firm for matters other than inspecting 1 and 2A family dwellings, the hourly rate is $60. The county administrator is hereby authorized to sign on behalf of the county, and this resolution shall be effective immediately upon passage and publication. This is being offered to you by the Land and Zoning Standing Committee on October 2 of 23.
All right, you've heard that resolution. Do we have a motion for adoption? Motion by Luck, second by Fleming. Discussion? Do we have anybody here to speak on this one? Okay, Melissa, please.
This is a contract that, I mean, like it says in the resolution, we've used this building inspector since 2009, so it's a fairly routine renewal of contract.
All right, very good. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed?
Aye.
All right, the resolution is adopted. Let's see, we are on 22, a resolution approving Richland County to enter into a contract with MSA Professional Services Incorporated for geographic information or GIS services for a total cost of $35,220.
This will be resolution number 23-106. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby granted for the Richland County MIS Department to enter into a contract with MSA Professional Services for Geographic Information Systems, GIS services. Be it further resolved that the funds to carry out this resolution shall come from the NG 911 grant in the amount of $13,065, and then the land information grant in the amount of $22,155. The county administrator is authorized to sign the purchase agreement for these services, and this shall be effective immediately upon passage and publication, again being offered to you by the Land and Zoning Standing Committee on October 2 of 23.
All right, do we have a motion on this?
Mr. Chairman, I move for approval and after second, ask for discussion.
All right, motion by Supervisor Seep. We have a second. Second by Mr. McKee. Mr. Seep, you said you wanted discussion.
Yes, could someone give us a background on this resolution?
Yes, Ms.
I was
Luck.
going to do that, yes. Okay, so do you want to, or? No. Okay. So as you may recall, our GIS person retired last year, and the Land and Zoning Committee took the opportunity to evaluate how the departments are, how the zoning and land departments are functioning, whether we want to combine things, how we want it. So we decided that we would use a contract service to fulfill our GIS needs until we can determine exactly whether we want to continue it on a contract basis or bring in a person full-time, in-house, et cetera. So GIS needs are continuing and nonstop, and so we absolutely have to have someone to do that work. And we did a bid process, just for those who are wondering, and we chose this contract. So.
Thank you. Other questions? There are no other questions. All in favor of the resolution, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, the resolution is adopted. Number 23 on our agenda, resolution approving the Land Conservation Department to use Square for online nursery stock sale.
Resolution number 23-107. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is granted to the Land Conservation Department to set up and use Square for their online nursery stock sales. This resolution shall be effective immediately upon passage into publication and is being offered to you by the Land and Zoning Standing Committee on October 2 of 23.
Thank you. Do we have a motion? Motion from Mr. Caro, second from Ms. Luck. Discussion on this. Go ahead.
My secretary is retiring in December 1st, and she did all the work for this as far as taking in, she set up the sale, taking the money, and we don't have time to do that anymore. And a lot of counties, we found at the conference in March that they're doing online sales, and listened to several presentations by different committees. And this would be the most cost-effective for both the person purchasing the trees and the county. I mean, the costs for Square is being included in the price of the trees, and so everything will be online, and there'll be an inventory, and it will go down as we sell the trees, or the trees are sold, and the reports will be given to myself and Mr. Even, so that we can keep track of what's going, what the county's collecting.
Questions on this? Mr. C.
Yes. What is the location? I didn't get that.
It's a company called Square. A lot of places use it. They have a little, we're not going to do, it'll be completely online. Some people have these little things that they can swipe, and we're not going to do that because it's an extra cost. It's everything's going to be going online. And talking to a couple counties that use it, that's what they do.
I'm not clear exactly what are they going to be doing for us.
Okay, so there'll be everything we put on the Square website of our website attached to the Square company, and it'll say, we've got these trees for sale, this is how many of each tree, this is how much they are for 25 trees. People will purchase them, they'll use their credit card to pay that online. Instead of us collecting the money, making deposits, keeping track of how many trees have been sold.
So these trees are from where?
This year we're looking at going to Chief River Nursery.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Chief River Nursery. And so we'll pre-order the trees, and then we'll sell them as we go.
How many trees are you talking about?
Quite a few. I think right now we've got I think it's like 1,800 trees that I'd be pre-ordering of different species. And I use the past tree sales amounts to figure out how many to order.
So what are the main species of these trees?
Red pine, white pine, oak, red oak, white oak, swamp white oak, some different kinds of shrubs, spruce. There's about 15 different varieties, I think.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you very much. The resolution is adopted. Item number 24 is a resolution approving the Land and Zoning Standing Committee applying for and accepting a lake monitoring and protection grant from the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources.
This will be resolution number 23-108. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby granted to the Land Conservation Committee to apply for a lake monitoring and protection grant from the Wisconsin DNR for an amount up to $8,560. Be it further resolved that the Richland County Land Conservation Department will meet the financial obligations necessary to fully and satisfactorily complete the project, and hereby authorize and empowers the following employees to submit the following documents to the DNR for the financial assistance that may be available. You have a list of tasks there in the resolution. Be it further resolved that there is no county match required for this grant, and that approval is hereby granted for the grant funds to be spent in accordance with the terms of the grant, and that County Conservationist Ms. Kathy Cooper is hereby authorized to sign on behalf of the county any documents needed to carry out the resolution. Be it further resolved that the applicant will comply with all local, state, and federal rules, regulations, and ordinances related to the project and the cost share agreement. This resolution is being offered to you by the Land and Zoning Standing Committee on October 2 of 23.
Any further resolution? Motion from Mr. Manning. Do we have a second?
Second and discussion.
Second from Mr. Seep, and go ahead with your discussion.
Thank you. Last year, I believe we had the same kind of funding available for lake improvement and stream improvement. Where was that money spent last year, and where do we plan to spend it this year?
This money is used for what's called aquatic invasive species. And we can use it for things like, we've used it for starting a purple loosestrife project, trying to reduce it. There's been a purple loosestrife out by the fairgrounds. We're Clean Boats, Clean Water, where we do boat inspections, or we're trying to get volunteers more to do that at our different boat landings on the river, and like Lee Lake would be another one. Trying to get education for different, like the fair and other places, to educate people on how to prevent the spread of aquatic invasive species, and making sure there's signage at different boat landings, and at, like, the classic example is on the Pine River there's access for waders, people wading for trout fishermen, and there's boot scrapers and boot brushes to kind of clean their boots off so they're not transporting aquatic invasive species.
Did we have any actual lake monitoring per se last year?
Yes.
Where?
There was, we did, built some boot brush stations and put them on the Willow Creek. We did some educational activities at the fair. We did at like Port Andrews Boat Landing, and I think the Orion Boat Landing. It was my staff, because we can't get volunteers. If you know somebody's interested in volunteering, I can train them on how to do boat inspections and talk about, you know, how not to transport aquatic invasive species. We went around and looked at wetlands to see if we find any invasive species. The other, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, we also went in and inspected and installed some new signs at boat landings of how not to transport aquatic invasive species.
There's one lake in the county that I know of. Was there any monitoring of that lake?
I don't, we couldn't find anybody to do a boat inspection at that lake. So we're looking for people. So if you know some people, we can train them to do that at Lee Lake.
Are there any plans for monitoring that lake this year?
The monitoring is mostly just the boat inspections.
I see.
We don't have...
you don't foresee any other improvements to the lake?
We don't. This money can't be used for improvements to the lake. It's just fighting invasive species.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Do we have any other questions? If not, all in favor of the resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? The resolution is adopted. Item 25, resolution creating the office system technician position.
This is resolution number 23-109. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby granted for the above listed position to be approved and hired. This resolution shall be effective immediately upon passage of publication. It is being offered to you by the Finance and Personnel Standing Committee on July 5 of 23.
Okay, you've heard the resolution. Motion by Gentis to adopt. Do we have a second? Second by Glassbrenner. Discussion.
So this position is being brought, as we know, there is some movement going on down in our land and zoning area. And we had originally recommended that this position be a 20-hour-a-week position, but given the shifting, we are asking that it be a 40-hour-a-week position. It will be at a grade F and will be funded through Fund 10 for general zoning and general land conservation, 20 hours a week out of each fund.
Have any questions on this position?
I move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? The resolution is adopted. Item 26, a resolution confirming the creation and permission to fill the position of Human Resources Generalist.
This is resolution number 23-110. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval to create and fill the position of Human Resources Generalist is hereby given, and that this be effective upon passage and publication, once again offered to you by the Finance and Personnel Standing Committee on October 3 of 23.
Okay, do we have a motion for approval? Motion by Williamson, second by Caro. Discussion.
Yes, so this position is one that we have discussed at length. So when I started, I gave up my administrative assistant position. And the reason why I did that was because I saw the need for human resources functions within the county. Now, I as a county administrator have been able to and willing to take on the additional duties of a human resources director position, which was in the strategic plan and was the direction the county was going to go. We're able to save quite a bit of money by not having to hire a director, as I can serve in that function. But what we do need desperately is day-to-day support for HR functions. We have 497 employees in the county. And right now, we have Tammy Hendrickson doing payroll, doing benefits, and doing all HR functions. And it is not sustainable. And so, in order to facilitate this position, I gave up my administrative assistant in the administrator's office in order to form an HR generalist position that will be able to support and work with Tammy on all day-to-day HR operations. We will also then begin centralizing all HR operations from all of the other departments. What we are finding is we are woefully out of compliance and sometimes operating outside of the confines of the law. And we want to make sure that we are mitigating liability for the county and functioning at the best we can going forward. With that being said, this position came back at a grade K, which is $28.92 to $32.87 per year. So if you look at the cost of what my administrative assistant was to the cost now, this is an increase of roughly $11,000 on the bottom end of the scale and $13,000 at the top end of the scale. So not a lot of an increase for a function that we desperately need within the county. So I am asking for your approval of this position.
Okay. I move for approval. Well, we have motion and second. Supervisor Miller.
I would like to ask, what are you expecting to do with the other HR people? Are you going to, oh, yeah, I know how.
It's on.
Okay. I was wondering, you have like human resources at Pine Valley and probably health. How's that going to work into that? Are you going to minimize those positions or?
No, I'm sorry. They would still function as HR, but we would put them under the same umbrella. Right now, we don't have consistent practices, we don't have consistent policies, we don't have consistent applications of labor law. So this would give us the opportunity then to centralize that. We're also looking at purchasing a HRIS and payroll system so that everyone is on the same system. So they would facilitate all of those things. Tammy can't do all of that on her own, and this individual can't do all of that on their own. So it would really be incorporating all of them into functioning as a team.
Thank you.
Other questions? Yes, Barb, go ahead. Thank you for waving, that helps.
So, will the administrative assistant, who's now going to be the HR generalist, be doing any of her old job?
No.
So are we going to hear in 6 months that your job has become so heavy that we're going to need to have another administrative assistant?
No.
So next year we'll come back and it's going to be the same in the administrator's office where it is?
As of right now, yes. I can tell you, Barb, the volume of work that is expected of one individual in the administrator's office is woefully unsustainable. But this is making the best decision for the most amount of people in our county.
Well, if you're saying that there's too much work for this one person in your office now, and she's going to become the generalist?
No, she's not. It's not that person. I'm saying my work, my role. But I'm willing to give up the support for my role because this benefits the people of the county and the employees of the county far more. I don't need the support as much as they do.
So Tammy's going to have less work, which is fine because she's overworked right now, and I understand that. And there's enough for a full-time HR
Absolutely,
generalist.
there is.
Generalist.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. More than enough, truthfully.
That's what I need to know. Thank you.
Ms. Glassbrenner, go ahead.
Can I just clarify, because Ms. Boyce, I think you might be misunderstanding. She doesn't, correct me if I'm wrong, you do not currently have an administrative assistant.
I do not. I do not.
There is not that position right now.
I gave that position up.
Other questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Seep, go ahead.
This proposal is long overdue. I observed the workload in the office and the work that Tammy does. There's no question that there's a great need for this position. And in addition, I think we're going to have to be more circumspective about asking our administrator to give up the position of an assistant. She's swamped with the work she's doing right now, and I think it's very unfair to vacate that position at a time when we're just starting out and a lot of help is needed. So I think we need to take a second look at your vacation of that position. I fully support this. It's long overdue.
Thank you, Mr. Seep. Other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of the resolution say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? The resolution is adopted. Number 27, a resolution approving transfer of Education Standing Committee duties to the Public Works Standing Committee.
This will be resolution number 23-111. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that oversight of the UW campus property is to be transferred to the Public Works Standing Committee. Be it further resolved that this approval is effective immediately upon passage and publication. It is being offered to you by the Rules and Strategic Planning Standing Committee on October 5 of 2023.
Okay, we have a motion by Manning, second by Renish. Discussion on this one?
Typo,
Steve.
second paragraph, sentence. Richland County recognizes that they're all.
We can remove the there.
Okay, correct that as a typo.
Check.
Must have an English teacher back here.
We got that correct.
Anybody have questions on this? All in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? The resolution is adopted. All right. Do we want to address reports and correspondence before we go into closed session? If we have any.
Reports and correspondence, did you want to say something, John? We don't need to. Yeah, I think you should.
Okay, before we go into items 20 and 29, which both have to do with closed session, we'll take a jump down on the agenda to talk about reports. And Mr. Hockenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If I could, I just wanted to thank the county board for the privilege that I've had for the last 6 months to work with the county. We hear a lot in county government. We talk about the county family, and you really have become part of my family. So my contract is actually, it ends this evening with the passage of the budget. You are in very capable hands. I've seen a lot of improvements that in the last 6 months, and I would certainly encourage the board to continue to look to the future and be those visionaries, do the strategic planning, take a look at policy type issues. We have a couple issues that we really need to address fairly quickly with the board rules because we're not in compliance with state law, those types of things. I told Candace today that as I have a little bit more free time on my hand, I will probably send her a document that includes some recommendations that I have and how the county can move forward even a little bit more. But it's been a pleasure, and you will always be part of the family. I'm not that far away, so you may see me pop in from time to time, but seriously, thank you to everyone on the county board. And I also really want to thank Candace. She's been wonderful to work with, and we can't forget Derek. Without all the help that Derek has given both of us, and other staff as well, but specifically Derek that we've had to work with very closely. So thank you very much for having me.
And on behalf of the board and everybody with the county, thank you, John. We appreciate you very much.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. C.
May I add a comment in reference to John's departure? I join with the entire board in thanking you, John, for your expertise. I think it was Cicero who wrote Experiencia Docet, experience teaches, and your 40 years of experience has been invaluable to us. I would hope that you could be available for us for another period of time, a month or so, and I would recommend to the Finance and Personnel Committee. I know there's a great need. We're going to be installing 2 or 3 new vitally important positions. We're dealing with the question of the major question of what to do with our county property at the campus. It's a very, very busy time. We need the experience that you can help us with your long, very, very distinguished career. We're very, very fortunate to have someone with your stature and expertise here, and I hope that we don't let you go completely. So may I say to the chair and to the executive, the finance committee, I would hope that some thought would be given to continuing on a part-time basis, perhaps at an hourly rate. The terms and conditions would have to be worked out by the Finance and Personnel Committee, but I hope you consider that because we have a mountain of work to do here, and we've had a successful beginning with Candace. We want her to have a successful, continue with her success, and her success will be the county's success. So with that, again, I say thank you very much, John. It's been an honor and a privilege to observe what you've done for the county, and we appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
May the record show that Cicero has been quoted at the county board meeting.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Brewer.
I would echo Mr. Sieb's comments, and I'll say it another way. 7 months ago, when Administrator Langreth announced his resignation and moved down to the city of Platteville, I thought, well, here we are. Gee, what do we do now? And lo and behold, we were lucky enough to get public administrative associates, John and his partner, Dave Bridle. Am I saying that correctly, John? Bridle. And all of a sudden, the path became, if not perfectly defined, at least clarified. And as we worked through it, it was an exceptionally fine job of recruiting the new administrator. The whole process, in my opinion, was handled exceptionally well. Bringing in all elements, bringing in employees, bringing in the public. We had the round table speed dating here, and I like that, and it worked. And now we're well on down the road, and our new administrator is, she's leading the way, and I appreciate it, and I think back 7 months ago, and where we are now, my life is easier, so. Now, not that means much, but we have a future now, and the future is bright. Thank you.
Clerk Kalish, do we have any correspondence?
I have no correspondences to report, but I was asked by Superintendent just to give you all a reminder, since we don't meet in November, regarding nomination papers and all the fun election stuff coming up. So just as a side note, I will be posting those forms on the county website around the middle of November. I like to wait for a little bit yet to make sure the most updated forms are available, but you are welcome to source those forms. You can get them now. You don't have to wait for me, but I will send you an email like I did last time for those of you that were around, saying here are the forms. So stay tuned, but I will get that information out to you when it's a little sooner or a little closer to the election.
Very good, thank you.
Chair?
Yes, Mr. Wendell.
So I meant to put this in the letter, but my duties did not allow me to do so. John's a hard act to follow, but I would also like to thank this board for the opportunity to serve in large part because of my service to the communities that surround us. I was recently awarded the Belle Case La Follette Public Service Award. It's granted to recent law school graduates who serve underserved communities. And I just want to make my appreciation for this opportunity known to the board, and just so you're aware that there are people out there who recognize the importance of small town lawyers like me. So again, thank you to the board for this opportunity.
Thank you for your service on behalf of the county and the community. All right, we have 2 closed session items on our agenda for 3 different purposes. And should I read the citations for all of them here? Or? No? Okay. Well, we're going to be discussing 3 purposes in closed session. Updates on negotiations regarding the UW campus and cybersecurity enhancements, as well as an update on a dismissal of a county employee in closed session. And so we'd be looking for a motion to go into closed session. Motion from Supervisor Renish, second by Supervisor McKee. We'll ask all those in favor of going to closed session, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Aye. Well, hearing no one opposed, we can say it's a unanimous vote. Is that correct?
Right.
That is correct. So we have a unanimous vote to go into closed session. As soon as we get folks cleared here, we'll begin.